Imagine walking into a classroom where every shoe had to be polished to a mere shine, where girls' hair was measured for length and boys risked a telling off for the slightest fringe over the collar. Back then, we weren't just children. We were little cogs in a carefully ordered system, each rule designed to keep us in line. You couldn't chew gum, you couldn't wear bright socks, and heaven help you if your tie wasn't perfectly straight. Detentions weren't just for mischief. They could be given for forgetting a pen or for talking at the wrong moment. Some schools even had rules for the correct way to carry your satchel or how to stand at assembly. At first, it seems almost laughable, and yet for millions of children in the 1960s, these small restrictions shaped daily life, routines, and friendships. What feels bizarre today was simply ordinary then, a shared rhythm of childhood discipline and expectation. Step inside a 1960s British school, and the first thing you notice is the sound, the sharp, insistent ring of the bell echoing down polished corridors, calling children from classrooms to playgrounds or assembly halls. Lines of children form quickly, quietly, hands at sides, shoes clicking in rhythm along the floorboards. The air carries a mix of polished wood, chalk dust, and the faint, sweet aroma of freshly baked bread from the canteen. Every movement is observed, every gesture measured. Silence until spoken to isn't a suggestion. It's a rule drilled into daily life, teaching patience and respect. Outside the classroom, the world of post-war Britain seeps in. Families were still finding their footing after years of rationing and austerity, and schools mirrored society's emphasis on order, discipline, and moral responsibility. Conformity wasn't about stifling individuality, but about creating a generation that could rebuild, work together, and respect shared rules. Teachers commanded authority, often with a quiet firmness, guiding lessons and behavior alike. And yet, within this structured environment, there was warmth and camaraderie, laughter shared in fleeting moments, friendships formed during lunch, and a sense of belonging that came from knowing exactly what was expected. These seemingly strict routines, rigid as they may appear today, offered children stability and rhythm in a rapidly changing world. It was in this orderly, almost ritualistic setting that the peculiar and sometimes amusing rules of school life truly came to life. Rules that shaped childhood in ways many of us remember vividly. In a 1960s school, your outfit wasn't just clothes, it was a statement of order. Blazers had to be buttoned, caps worn squarely, and shoes polished until they shone. One former pupil remembers, if your shoes weren't gleaming, you'd hear about it in front of the whole class. It felt like the tiniest detail mattered more than anything else. Girls were expected to wear skirts of a particular length, and boys had their hair trimmed neatly above the collar, with no stray locks tolerated. Even bow ties or socks could become points of contention, the minutiae of appearance treated with serious intent. Then there were the lunchboxes. Some schools forbade chocolate bars or fizzy drinks entirely, while boiled eggs or sandwiches with jam could be scrutinized with equal intensity. One man recalls, "I got a ticking off for having a banana once. Apparently, it was improper to bring fruit that wasn't in season." Classroom behavior followed a similar pattern. You raised your hand, kept your hands flat on the desk, and stood to answer questions. Whispering, fidgeting, or even turning to glance at a friend could bring instant correction. It all seems almost theatrical today, a mixture of charm, absurdity, and rigidity. Yet these small rituals created a sense of fairness and predictability that children quickly internalized through polished shoes, measured haircuts, and carefully packed lunchboxes. These rules shaped identity, pride, and belonging, while quietly teaching the values of attention, respect, and conformity that defined everyday school life in post-war Britain. Breaking the rules in a 1960s school carried consequences that, by today's standards, might seem quaint, even amusing. Writing lines was a daily ritual for many, with children filling pages with "I must not talk out of turn or I will remember my tie," sometimes until their wrists ached. One former pupil chuckled, "I once wrote 1,000 lines for forgetting my cap. By the end, I could have written my autobiography." Standing in the corner was another familiar fate, a silent reminder that your actions mattered, observed by classmates whose sympathetic glances, mixed with quiet amusement. Some schools had even stranger traditions. In certain classrooms, pupils were required to pass notes along a chain to the teacher rather than handing them directly, or to bow when entering the headmaster's office. Little rituals that made discipline feel ceremonial, almost theatrical. Despite the strictness, these consequences weren't just about punishment. They instilled a sense of responsibility, teaching children that actions had effects and that respect for rules and authority was part of everyday life. There was a rhythm to it, a predictability that offered structure in a rapidly changing world. Looking back, there's warmth in the memory of these peculiar systems, the whispered camaraderie over shared detentions, the quiet victories of standing in line without faltering, and the pride of emerging from punishment a little wiser. In many ways, these rituals shaped character, social order, and a sense of belonging that today's more relaxed classrooms rarely replicate. Looking back, it's easy to focus on the strictness, the lines, the endless rules, but there was so much more beneath the surface. Those shared routines, from lining up for assembly to the careful adjustment of a tie or skirt, created a quiet camaraderie. You learned to watch out for each other, to laugh discreetly at small rebellions, and to celebrate tiny victories together. Winning a class competition, trading a secret packet of childhood novelty sweets, or simply receiving a nod of approval from a teacher could feel like triumphs of epic proportions. There was pride in belonging, in wearing the uniform correctly, in knowing exactly what was expected. It was a shared rhythm that shaped friendships and forged memories still vivid decades later. Contrast that with today's more relaxed schools. Freedom abounds, individuality is championed, and rules are often softer. But with that freedom comes a different kind of uncertainty. The sense of collective ritual, of daily shared expectations, is quieter now. Looking back, we can appreciate both the discipline and the delight, the structure and the small joys, and recognize that what we lost in rigidity we gained in laughter, creativity, and a gentler world. Yet there's something undeniably charming about those tightly ordered days we once knew. Schools in the 1960s moved with a quiet, almost ceremonial rhythm. Rules were strict, routines predictable, and discipline was part of everyday life. Today, classrooms are brighter, more flexible, and focused on creativity, well-being, and individuality. We trade the polished shoes and precise lines for free expression and softer boundaries. Yet there's a charm in remembering those carefully ordered days, the small victories and shared rituals that shaped generations. It leaves us wondering, are there lessons in that old structure worth keeping? Or is it better to leave these peculiar rules in the past, treasured only as memories?